Are you serious? Is the world coming down to needing help from Dennis Rodman? What? But hold on a minute, everybody, because that might not be that bad. I'm going to get some coffee. Everybody calm down. Dennis Rodman, the five-time NBA champion, NBA star from the Chicago Bulls, the flamboyant former NBA All-Star Dennis Rodman has returned to North Korea today on this September the 3rd, 2013. And he says he's visiting his friend Kim Jong-Un, the leader of North Korea, who just executed his girlfriend and 11 other people and made their families watch it and then threw them into prison. But that's not why Dennis is there. Dennis is playing down the speculation that he's going to try and get the jailed U.S. citizen Kenneth Bay, 44-year-old man who's been in prison there for about a year now, sentenced to 8 years of hard labor. But Dennis Rodman in the past has said, I want to get him out of there. He said he is a Christian brother. Now, having said that, the American Kenneth Bay has been held a prisoner in North Korea since November of last year, so almost a year. Rodman has said last week that he might seek the man's release. But speaking to reporters at Beijing airport en route to the North Korean capital, Rodman said, I haven't been promised anything as it relates to Kenneth Bay. I'm just going to meet with my friend Kim Jong-Un and the marshal to start a new basketball league, a new professional basketball league in North Korea? What? But maybe this opens up a whole new bridge to the world and a new understanding of the North Korean regime of Kim Jong-un. And maybe, just maybe, Dennis Rodman can find some common ground. Dennis Rodman? Kim Jong-un? Common ground? Well, hang on. Rodman said something else very important. He said, look, I haven't been promised anything. I'm just trying to keep the communication job going. Now, the North's official Korean Central News Agency says, later they put out a one-line statement saying he had arrived. That was the word. That's the headline. He had arrived. Well, China, their news agency said that he had been invited by North Korea's sports authority, and his entourage included Michael Spavor, a Canadian who runs an education exchange scheme called North Korean Project. Also traveling along with Dennis Rodman is Joseph Terwinger, an associate professor of neuroscience at the University of Columbia in New York. Terwinger's webpage on a Columbian site shows him in evening dress playing the tuba and says he teaches workshops on logical reasoning in human genetics. Can I just make a statement? I'm going to try to say this. If Dennis Rodman is in North Korea with Kim Jong-un, and he brought along with him a human genetic professor and some other guy from some kind of neuroscience project. Dennis Rodman's hanging out with brain scientists? What? If you're going to study human genetics, I guess one of the prime people you probably should study would be Dennis. I mean, all kidding around here. Is Dennis a lot smarter than what we think? I mean, this guy's able to get in places that nobody else can. He can talk to world leaders that nobody else can. And he's bringing in geneticists. I mean, is he all involved? Is this part of the Illuminati? Or is Dennis Rodman really there to help get this guy out of North Korea? Now, the Swiss-educated Kim Jong-un, who is around 30 years old, is reported to be a huge basketball fan of the Chicago Bulls, when Rodman won his 3 NBA championships alongside Michael Jordan in the 1990s. And on a previous visit to North Korea 6 months ago, Rodman declared himself a friend for life of the authoritarian leader and embraced him after the pair sat down and watched a basketball game together there in North Korea. Now, Rodman has faced ridicule from many U.S. commentators over his trip, which came during high tensions over rocket launches and atomic tests by Kim Jong-un's isolated regime. But at the time, in an enthusiastic commentary on the Kim Jong-un Dennis Rodman meeting, KCNA quoted Rodman, nicknamed the Worm, as saying the impasse in the United States-North Korean relationships was very regrettable. Now, North Korea and the United States have never had diplomatic ties. This is the only link between us and them, the only bridge between the United States and North Korea is a guy named Dennis Rodman. But you know what? God works in mysterious ways. And it just might be that Dennis Rodman can get this Christian man being persecuted for his faith. He's from Seattle, Washington. His name is Kenneth Bae, a Christian Korean. He's 44 years old, been sentenced to 8 years hard labor for something he did not do, and just because of his faith. What if Dennis Rodman can lead him out of North Korea? What if he comes home with Kenneth Bae? Maybe we should stop judging a book by its cover. Maybe we should just pray God could use Dennis to help get this one Christian man out of there and open up a whole new door of communication between the United States of America and the Western world and this isolated madman of a regime that's misunderstood. And of course, I totally disagree with what they've done. They've imprisoned over 1 million Christians. They have the communist regime is brutal. But what if Dennis could help open the door and we could start having some kind of dialogue with them, lay down the nukes, and take another approach to a world of new negotiations to could bring a better world for so many people in Korea that do not need to live a life under this tyranny. They've been under tyranny. So just, here's what I say we do. Just pray for Dennis Rodman and that God could somehow use him as a way to open up that communications. Jesus Christ is what they need, and they don't need Dennis Rodman. What North Korea needs, what we all need, is the Lord Jesus Christ. But I've studied the Bible long enough. God has used many different messengers in many different assignments. And so sometimes we need to just stop and pray. Kenneth Bae needs to be set free, but what about the other 1 million Christians? They need to be set free too. And maybe the door could begin to open. And this could be a mighty great thing, a great revival could come from this. So pray for Dennis Rodman, pray for the people of North Korea, and pray for the people of the world. I'm Pastor Paul Begley. I'm going to keep praying. The world is in trouble. And I'll be right back with more very important information as relates to Syria, John Kerry, Vladimir Putin, and a whole lot more.